Have you ever had that strange moment when life looks perfectly fine on the outside, but inside, it feels like you're not moving at all? You've got your routine. You wake up, get dressed, maybe go to work or class, talk to people, do the things you're supposed to do. And yet, something feels off. It's like you're walking, but not really moving. Like you're stuck in the same spot, while the world keeps spinning forward without you. I want you to pause for just a second and really think about it. Have you ever sat there and thought, is this it? Is this all there is? Is this what the next 5, 10 years are going to feel like? If you've ever felt that way, lost, restless, maybe even a little guilty for not being happier with what you have, then this episode is especially for you. Because today, we're not only going to practice English together, we're also going to talk about life. About you. About that heavy, muddy feeling you carry inside when you're not sure where you're going. And let me make one thing clear. I'm not here to give you a lecture, or to hand you some perfect formula for life. That's not how I do things. I'm not your teacher in a classroom. I'm your friend on the other side of the microphone. I'm here to sit with you, to share my own experiences, and maybe offer the kind of words I wish someone had whispered to me when I felt exactly the same way. Oh, and in case we haven't met yet, hello, I'm Laura, and this is Talk Easy, English Podcasts. This is our little space where learning English feels like a natural conversation, not a test. Every single day, we sit together, we talk, and we grow, not just in English, but in confidence, in mindset, and in life. So today, as you listen, you'll notice me using real expressions, everyday phrases, even some phrasal verbs and idioms. Don't worry if a couple of them sound new or fly over your head. That's part of learning. At the end of the episode, my lovely friend Charlotte will join us to break those expressions down in a super clear and simple way. And as always, you can grab a free PDF in the description with today's transcript, practice exercises, and some reflection prompts. So you're not only listening, you're actually training your English. Now, let's get back to that heavy feeling of being stuck. I want to tell you a story. A few years ago, I was working in what many people would call a good job. It was stable. I had nice colleagues. I had a regular salary. On paper, everything looked fine. But here's the truth. I felt completely empty inside. I remember one morning so vividly. I was sitting in my car outside the office building, my hands on the steering wheel, staring at the glass doors. My heart felt heavy, almost like it was refusing to move forward. I couldn't bring myself to open the door and walk inside. I kept thinking, Laura, is this really it? Is this what your life is going to look like for the next 10 years? It was such a strange and painful moment. I wasn't in danger, nothing dramatic was happening, but I felt paralyzed. Like my body was there, but my spirit wasn't. I was existing on autopilot, going through the motions, but not really living. Maybe you know what that feels like. Maybe you've been there yourself. Maybe you're there right now. You smile at people, you do your tasks, you show up where you need to be. But deep down, there's this quiet voice whispering, something's missing. You're not where you're supposed to be. For me, it felt like being trapped inside a maze. I would turn left, then right, thinking I was making progress. But every path led me back to the same walls, the same dead ends. I kept asking myself, did I choose this? Or did I just end up here because it was safe? Because it was expected of me? Meanwhile, I'd look around and see other people moving ahead. They seemed to have a map. They knew where they were going. And I was the only one still wandering, lost, trying to figure out what direction to take. And honestly, that was the hardest part. Not the work itself. Not the long hours or the routine. The hardest part was the emptiness, the doubt, the feeling that no matter how much I did, I wasn't really going anywhere. It was like I was standing still, watching the world speed past me. But here's the thing, and this is so important, that feeling of discomfort, of being stuck, of not knowing, it's not always a curse. Sometimes, it's actually a gift. Because that heavy feeling? It's your inner self trying to get your attention. It's like your heart is tugging on your sleeve, whispering, "Hey, we can't keep living like this. Something needs to change." And when I finally realized that, when I allowed myself to listen to that inner whisper, it was as if a light turned on in the middle of the maze. I still didn't know the way out, but at least I knew I couldn't just keep going in circles. That was the beginning for me. The moment I understood, feeling lost doesn't mean your story is over. Sometimes, feeling lost is just your soul's way of saying, it's time for a new chapter. When I finally admitted to myself that I was lost, I expected some kind of magical answer to appear. Like the universe would just hand me a map and say, "Okay, Laura, here's your next destination." But of course, that didn't happen. What did happen was a lot of silence. A lot of uncertainty. And I want to pause here, because this part is so real for anyone learning English too. When you're just starting, you desperately want clarity. The perfect study plan, the perfect method, the perfect words to say in every situation. You want someone to hand you the map. But instead, you open your mouth and nothing comes out. Or you try to speak and the sentence sounds broken. You feel confused, insecure, maybe even a little hopeless. That's what uncertainty feels like, blurry, uncomfortable, and let's be honest, scary. But here's what I learned. Uncertainty is not your enemy. It's actually a pause. Think of a song. You know when there's that moment of silence before the beat drops again? That pause isn't empty, it's powerful. It's full of energy, waiting to be released. Uncertainty is the same. It's the space where new possibilities can be born. When I walked away from that job, I didn't have everything figured out. No backup plan. No safety net. Just this deep feeling that I couldn't keep living on autopilot. People around me thought I was being reckless. Some even said I was throwing my life away. And for a while, I believed them. I thought, maybe I am making the biggest mistake of my life. But then something surprising happened. In that empty space, I started to breathe again. I began reading books I never had time for. I went on long walks without checking my phone every 2 minutes. I started writing in a notebook again. Just little thoughts, messy sentences, nothing important. But it lit something inside me. It felt like coming home to myself. And you know what? That's when I started to realize the truth. When you feel lost, it's often because you've been walking away from your values, those quiet, simple truths that really matter to you. Let me ask you this. What are the top 3 things you genuinely care about most in life? Not the things your parents told you to care about. Not what society expects from you. But your values. The things that make your heart feel alive. For some people, it's family. For others, it's freedom. For some, it's creativity or growth or kindness or helping others. Whatever it is, it's unique to you. And here's the tricky part. Life has a way of pulling us off that path. We chase money, approval, or safety, and slowly, without realizing it, we drift away from the things that matter. We forget what lights us up. That's exactly what happened to me. I thought I was being responsible by choosing a safe major at university, by getting that stable office job, by following the script. But in doing that, I walked away from my love for storytelling, for languages, for creativity. I traded my own compass for other people's directions. No wonder I felt stuck. No wonder I felt like I was in a maze. So what did I do? Honestly, I didn't suddenly find all the answers. Instead, I started with something small. I told myself, okay, Laura, you don't need to know your whole future. But today, just write one sentence. Just one. Sometimes, that one sentence turned into a page. Other times, it was literally one line, and then I closed the notebook. But even that tiny step gave me a spark. It reminded me that I still had a voice. And that's the power of small steps. We think growth has to look dramatic, like moving to another country, or quitting your job, or suddenly speaking English perfectly. But real change doesn't usually come from one huge, bold leap. It comes from small, consistent steps. If you're learning English, one of the best things you can do is give yourself these tiny, doable challenges. Maybe today, just say one sentence in English out loud to yourself in the mirror. Something simple like, I am learning and I'm proud of myself. Or maybe you record a 2-minute voice note describing your day. Or maybe you just listen to this podcast and repeat 3 phrases after me. That's all. Nothing more. And here's the beautiful secret. When you take one small step, you build what we call momentum. Momentum is the energy that comes from moving forward, even if it's just a little. Once the ball starts rolling, it's much easier to keep it going. I remember days when I felt like I couldn't do anything. I'd wake up heavy, tired, unmotivated. On those days, my goal was to simply get out of bed, drink a glass of water, and write a single line in my notebook. That was it. And when I did it, I felt a little spark of victory. That little win would give me energy for the next step. Maybe I'd read a few pages of a book. Maybe I'd open my English notes and practice a phrase. And slowly, those small wins stacked up. They built momentum. So if you're listening to me right now and you're in that place where everything feels stuck, here's what I want you to remember. You don't need to fix your whole life today. You just need to take one tiny step. That's all. Because one step leads to another. And before you know it, you've walked out of that maze you thought you'd never escape.
Hi there, my lovely learners. It's Charlotte here, and as always, I've got your back. I know that in today's episode, Laura shared a lot of powerful thoughts and feelings. And in between those stories, she used some really useful English words and phrases. Some of them might have felt brand new to you, and that's perfectly fine. That's exactly why I'm here, to slow everything down, explain the meaning, and give you examples so you can actually practice them. So let's take it step by step. Heart to heart. When someone says they had a heart-to-heart, it means they had a very honest, open, and emotional conversation with someone, usually about feelings or something important. Example, last night, I had a heart-to-heart with my brother about our future. You can use this phrase when you want to describe a deep, personal chat that goes beyond small talk. Regret. Regret is the sad or guilty feeling you get when you think you made a mistake or missed an opportunity. Example, she didn't study for the exam, and later she felt regret. Notice, we often say, I regret doing something or I regret not doing something. Uncertainty. Uncertainty means not knowing what will happen next. It's that feeling of doubt or confusion about the future. Example, he moved to a new city, and there was a lot of uncertainty in his life. When you feel lost in English, it might just be uncertainty, you're in that in-between stage of learning. Curious. To be curious means you really want to know or learn about something. It's a positive word. Curious people ask questions, explore, and discover new things. Example, I'm curious about Italian food, I want to try cooking it at home. In today's story, curiosity was like a little spark that helped Laura find her way again. Drift. The verb drift means to move slowly without control, often because of water, wind, or just not paying attention. We also use it for life. Example, he drifted away from his old friends after moving to another city. It's about slowly moving away without even noticing. Maybe you felt your English skills drifting because you stopped practicing for a while. That's normal, and you can always come back. Momentum. Momentum is the force that keeps something moving once it has started. When you push a ball and it keeps rolling, that's momentum. In life and language learning, momentum is what happens when your small actions add up. Example, she studied English every morning, and soon she gained momentum. It's like the universe rewards you for starting. Breakthrough. A breakthrough is a big discovery or moment of progress after struggling for a long time. It's when suddenly, things start to click. Example, after weeks of practicing, he had a breakthrough and could finally speak fluently. Sometimes your breakthrough in English comes after many little steps, not all at once. Accountable. To be accountable means to be responsible for your actions, often because someone else is expecting you to do what you said. Example, I feel more accountable when I study English with a friend, because I don't want to disappoint them. You can use this word when you want to express that you take responsibility, or that someone helps you stay on track. Mentor. A mentor is someone with more knowledge or experience who helps guide you. It's like having a teacher, but often more personal, like a coach, an advisor, or even a supportive friend. Example, my English teacher became my mentor and encouraged me to believe in myself. You can say, I'm looking for a mentor to help me improve my English speaking skills. Milestone. A milestone is an important event or achievement in your journey. It shows progress, like a marker on the road. Example, finishing my first English book was a big milestone for me. You can celebrate your own milestones, no matter how small. Detour. A detour is when you take a different path, often longer, to reach your destination. In life, a detour means something didn't go as planned, but you discovered something new along the way. Example, her career took a detour, but she learned skills that helped her later. Goosebumps. You know those little bumps that appear on your skin when you're cold, scared, or deeply moved? Those are goosebumps. Example, the singer's voice gave me goosebumps, it was so beautiful. When Laura told her story about sitting in her car, maybe you felt goosebumps too. Perspective. Your perspective is the way you see or understand something. Two people can see the same situation but have very different perspectives. Example, talking to my friend gave me a new perspective on my problem. Learning English also gives you a new perspective, on the world, on people, on yourself. Autopilot. When you're on autopilot, it means you're doing things automatically, without thinking. Example, he was living on autopilot, just working, eating, and sleeping every day. In English learning, autopilot can be useful for habits, but in life, being on autopilot too long can make you feel stuck. Crossroads. A crossroads is a place where two or more roads meet. In life, it means a moment when you need to make an important decision about your direction. Example, after finishing school, she was at a crossroads, should she travel or start working? We all face crossroads, both in life and in language learning. And that's okay.
See? Step by step, word by word, you're not only practicing English, you're connecting it to real life, to your feelings, and to your journey. That's why it sticks. That's why it becomes part of you. So, my friend, if you've made it this far, let me just say this. I'm so proud of you. Truly. You could have stopped listening 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago, but you stayed. You chose to keep going. And that choice, that tiny act of staying, is already a victory. It's proof that you're building momentum, that you're moving forward, even when it doesn't feel easy. And that's the beautiful part about learning, whether it's English or life episodes. Progress comes one step, one word, one conversation at a time. And if you're ready to keep going, don't stop here. There's another episode waiting for you right now. Just tap the video on your screen, and let's keep learning and growing together. Until next time, keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep believing in yourself. You're not lost. You're learning. And that's more than enough.